buddy. Yeah, Derrick just kind of sent he here with like no money and no idea what I'm supposed to be doing here. But through the grapevine, I heard that we're doing all-out predictions, so I'll tell you what I think.
Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Cast it up, Micah and Derrick. Well, get ready for something you will have never wanted to know. You sadly saw it coming, but I guess you should know. Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Today we are joined, as we will be every episode for the foreseeable future, by my good friend James. James, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic tonight. I'm so excited to be on Devoid Wrestling. Thank you for having me. I'm filling in for Micah for a little bit, and I think you guys are really going to like the topic of this podcast we got coming up here.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, a week ago today, Micah was officially handed his special assignment to go off to Parts Unknown for a few months on a special Devoid work assignment. We wish him the best of luck, of course. But tonight, let's talk about All Out, coming up this Sunday, September 5th. How excited are you?
Oh, I am so excited for this pay-per-view. I think this is the most excited I've been for a wrestling pay-per-view in the past 2 years. AEW has really stepped up their game and really grown their roster. I'd say just this year alone, they've added a lot of older guys to help the younger guys become bigger stars. And so having that name recognition is awesome on a card like this, and you just know you're going to get a better quality wrestling match than another certain wrestling company.
Yeah, this is probably legitimately the biggest wrestling event in the past 5 years. Would you say so?
Yeah, I would agree.
This is bigger than Allin was. Bigger than any of the other W pay-per-views. This is bigger than WrestleMania, honestly. Just because it's CM Punk's return.
In Chicago.
In freaking Chicago, nonetheless. The best wrestling city in the world. The best wrestling fans in the world. It's going to be crazy. You want to get right into it?
Let's do it.
Right before we do, don't forget to give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. You can comment on our videos. Comment on this video telling us what you think of James's new background, his new poster in the background. All right.
Yeah. It's changed up now. I got a guitar back there, so have at it.
All righty. Let's kick it off. The first match, the buy-in. It is the women's casino battle royal. James, who do you have and why?
So I got two people really on my radar. One is Thunder Rosa. Now, I say Thunder Rosa because she had a really good match in her home state of Texas on Dynamite one of the past weeks, and she got some thunderous crowd applause. So I wonder if they try to push Thunder Rosa because her record this year is also really good. I can't remember it exactly, but she has a lot of wins. Secondly, I got to go with Jade Cargill. I just think that she's kind of taken this women's division by storm, and we'll see what she does with it. But both of those competitors, I think, have a real shot to, be the last woman standing at the end.
And Thunder Rosa is a really good shout. She's been doing some really good work. For the past, year or so. Ever since she won the NWA women's title, she's been, on a tear.
Yeah, she's a really dynamic performer, exciting to watch.
Yeah. I think the winner of this year's Women's Casino Battle Royal is going to be the Joker. And I think the Joker could be one of two people. So I'm going to say it is either going to be Ruby Soho, the former Ruby Riott in WWE, or it's going to be the current Impact Women's Champion, the Knockouts Champion, Deonna Purrazzo. Because
Awesome.
I think they've been teasing up to Purrazzo showing up in AEW. She showed up in AAA a few weeks ago. I think Deonna showing up in the Casino Battle Royal would be a huge moment to give away for free to continue the partnership with Impact and AEW.
Yeah, I definitely think Ruby Soho is the more likely of those two scenarios. I've actually heard a lot of buzz about that.
The Casino Battle Royal. This time's the women's, so I guess I have two. So who I think the Joker is gonna be is Tessa Blanchard. And who I think is actually gonna win is Thunder Rosa.
All right, well, that's the first matchup. The second matchup, don't know why this is happening on the card. QT Marshall will be taking on Paul White. on the main card, on the main part of the card. This is, of course, Paul White defending his good friend Tony Schiavone. Who do you have and why, James?
Yeah, so honestly, I have QT Marshall just because Paul White is older, and I don't necessarily know that they would bring Paul White in to actually win matches. Now, granted, is it more likely that they're going to have Paul White win it so that him and Tony Schiavone can stand in the ring and raise their hands and stuff? Yeah, it's probably more likely, but I just have faith that AEW wouldn't stoop to that because that's a lot of the stuff they used to do in the main wrestling company, and that's why a lot of guys went to AEW, so they wouldn't have to job to older guys.
Right. Well, it's the Paul White. I think he's winning this match because one, I don't see QT Marshall ever getting a pay-per-view victory in any capacity. But also, I think Paul needs to look strong for when he puts over like the young talent, like the proper young talent, like probably Nick Camarado. So I think he could. I think he could beat QT. I think QT someone he could beat on his pay-per-view debut. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, QT Marshall, he's not a household name, but he's a younger guy. I figure he's got the athletic ability to do it, but who knows what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
The return of Paul White and QT Marshall. It's Big Show. Big Show's winning.
All right, on to the next matchup. The Wild Thing, probably my favorite theme song in wrestling right now. Jon Moxley taking on Japanese wrestling legend Satoshi Kojima. James, who do you have and why?
I got Jon Moxley winning this one. Jon Moxley is one of the premier singles competitors in AEW. He always will be, at least as long as he's on that roster. I understand it's the debut of Satoshi Kojima. I know it's his debut, but when it comes to facing Jon Moxley, I just can't see Moxley losing a match like that on an AEW card in Chicago.
It's very fair. I think because if you read the dirt sheets, originally this was going to be Moxley versus Tanahashi, which would have been a huge match. But for whatever reason, either Tanahashi couldn't make it to the US or New Japan wouldn't send Tanahashi. So instead, we're getting Kojima. And since it's like a one-time thing, it's sort of like when he fought Yuji Nagata. I think Moxley's going to win. Easy win. Just remind people that Moxley's Moxley and he kicks ass, basically.
Moxley is Moxley. Betting against Moxley to lose at a pay-per-view is a tough bet sometimes.
Yeah, it's a dumb idea. He even lost the title on TV. Like, did not lose on pay-per-view.
All right, up next, John Moxley versus Kojima. Yep. The All Japan legend. I guess New Japan legend as well. But I believe John Moxley is going to win. This is going to be a great exhibition. But keeping John Moxley strong, making sure that he's always near the top.
All right, next match. Pac, probably accompanied to the ring by one of the Lucha Bros or Alex Abrentes, taking on Andrade El Idolo, definitely accompanied to the ring by Chavo Guerrero. Who do you have and why?
So I had to think about this one because I think both competitors come into this pretty strong. But I got to side with Pac just because
Really?
of I know I'm siding with Pac because of his endurance, and I think if he's accompanied to the ring by one of the Lucha brothers, they could try to neutralize Chavo Guerrero on the ring apron. It would be a tough fight, but honestly, I think Pac has worked a while in the industry, and I would hope he'd get the win.
Yeah. I think that, this is Andrade's first pay-per-view match in AEW, and I think they want Andrade to look strong because I think they want him to move up the card some, and I think Pac is sort of that first step up the card. That's sort of what Pac has become almost, is that next step up the card. I think Andrade El Idolo is going to take a win in what might be match of the night, honestly.
Really? Okay.
There's a lot of matches it's going to have to fight with, but I think it's a sleeper pick for match of the night.
Yeah, it's very much a sleeper pick.
Yeah.
Up next, Pac and Andrade. It's gonna be Andrade, right? This is like his second match. He had like a match with Matt Sydal. He hasn't had one since. And this is a great way to establish him on pay-per-view.
All right, next match. The wrestling dentist, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, takes on the wrestling alien, Chris Statland. Who do you have and why, James?
I have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Dr. Britt Baker right now is the champion. I don't see AEW taking the title off her anytime soon. She's had a great run with the title so far, and I can't see this as being the moment where they're going to try to change that. Maybe in the future there's a huge feud that spirals into Britt Baker losing the title, but I just don't see it here.
I agree 100%. I think this is a nice filler feud. I think it's nice to give Chris Statlander some props, but I do not think Britt's losing the title anytime soon. So this is gonna go to Britt Baker.
Wow, we actually agreed on something.
Yeah.
Up next, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Chris Statlander, the alien. Britt Baker. She's like one of the most over things in AEW.
One of the matches I'm the most excited about, which is odd for me, the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros.
Yes.
The AEW Tag Team Championships. James, who's winning the match?
Honestly, I'm going to say the Lucha Bros. And I know that is a hot pick because the Young Bucks have not lost in quite some time, but I have a feeling that the Young Bucks are going to want to take a step back at some point soon. I think they might not want to be in-ring talent for much longer. So I think as unconventional as it may seem at the surface, I think if the Lucha Bros won the titles, they could take it in a direction that would allow the Young Bucks to take some time off if they need to.
Well, James, I agree with you. I also think the Lucha Brothers are winning the titles here. I think the Young Bucks have had a long run. They've had a very good run. and they've beaten everybody. So now it's time for a new tag team to have a very long run, a very good run, and beat everybody. And there's no better tag team to do that than Rey Fenix and Penta El Cero Miedo. They are just so much goddamn fun to watch in the ring. It is ridiculous. Penta is legitimately one of the best wrestlers around today.
And they will wear the belts with pride, you know? Like, they will be
Oh, yeah.
fantastic champions.
Oh yeah.
Up next, the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros in a steel cage match. I think the Lucha Bros have the Young Bucks number. I think this is going to be a running storyline for a couple of years. I think it's going to be the Lucha Bros new double champs. Because I'm pretty sure they're still the AAA tag team champions.
All right, the rematch of a rematch of a rematch of a rematch. We have Chris, the whatever his freaking New Japan gimmick is, Jericho, taking on Maxwell, Jacob Friedman, MJF. James, who do you have and why?
Now, you are going to be surprised. I am going to say that MJF wins the match. Now, hear me out. A lot of people are going to say, but if MJF wins, Chris Jericho, is done in AEW. And I would say true. But I have a feeling that Chris Jericho might want to go back to WWE for one last run. I have a feeling he's at a point right now where the company's grown enough to where he thinks he can step away. The locker room has a lot of older guys, so he doesn't need to be a veteran. And I think he kind of wants to return to WWE and maybe get a little bit of nostalgia, maybe work with Edge one last time. Who knows? But I have a feeling that Chris Jericho is going to lose this so that he can go back to WWE.
Yeah, I also think that MJF is going to win. Not because I think Jericho is going to go back to WWE. I just think he's done. You know? They had somewhat of a mini retirement tour where the labors of Jericho. He's going to go out on his back to a promising young heel who has a lot of characteristics like him. He's got a commentary gig now on Rampage he can fall back on. Like, I think Jericho's good. I think he's going to lose the match and say, all right, thank you guys. I'm good. I don't need to wrestle anymore.
Yeah, and that's a very noble thing to do, is just know when to hang it up. And so if it is time for him to do that, all the props for knowing it.
Yeah. Someone who had a problem with knowing when to hang it up was The Undertaker. He always had a problem with knowing when to hang it up because he always wanted that perfect finish to his career. And I think that's what this is going to be for Jericho, honestly.
And even though his last match was better than a lot of his previous matches recently, I think Goldberg has the same problem.
Yeah.
Up next, the career match, MJF versus Chris Jericho. This one's tough. I already said Big Show. Chris Jericho.
All right. The All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. Kenny by God Omega taking on the Impact World Champion, Christian Cage. James, who do you have and why?
So I had to think about this because I was not expecting the match on Rampage to go the way it did. But for this show, I'm going to take Kenny Omega. Now, Christian Cage has a chance to become the AEW champion, but I don't think they'd give him that title this quickly. I think Christian needs to really solidify his run as the Impact champion, and I think maybe he might make some appearances on Impact TV. So I think losing this match gives him more of a chance to go on Impact and sort of represent as their champion. And I just don't see Kenny Omega giving up the AEW belt to Christian Cage. Maybe later down the line, sometime early next year, he gives it up in a different match. But I just don't see this being the time to give up the AEW title.
Yeah, I think any other time, Christian would be a good shout for this. But there are three words that stop Christian from having a chance here. Hangman fucking Page. He's in the wings, and he is going to get that title next.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically a sure thing at this point. So, like, anyone who tries to face Kenny at this point is just sort of fodder until they get to Hangman.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, Hangman Adam Page is the guy. He's the next number one.
Yeah,
So it would make sense for Christian Cage to take it.
absolutely.
Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. But I think that they maybe on the Go Home Dynamite or Rampage, they will make this for the Impact and AEW World Tag Team Championships. Oh, it's not tag. It's not tag. Just for the World Championships. Just to add like a little more drama. I don't know.
All right. And what's probably going to be in the main event, what's definitely the most important match in this show, Darby Allin, the former TNT champion, will be taking on CM Punk, returning to the ring after 7 years for the first time since Royal Rumble 2014. James, is there any possible way Darby Allin wins this match?
No, there is no chance. So CM Punk is going to win this match because CM Punk told Darby Allin himself the most dangerous thing. He said, Darby Allin, I know you like doing dangerous things. The most dangerous thing you can do is face CM Punk. But not only face CM Punk, the most dangerous thing would be to face CM Punk in Chicago. And that's what Darby Allin's trying to do. There is absolutely no way AEW sends the fans home upset. CM Punk has to win this match for the city of Chicago.
I think for the rest of time, CM Punk is never going to lose a wrestling match in Chicago ever again. No, it just can't happen. You'd have actual riots in the streets if CM Punk lost any match in Chicago. I think it's gonna be a really good match. I think it's gonna be a long match that puts Darby over huge. But I think Punk is winning in the end to, push him. It's Punk. He wins.
And don't forget that Sting could play a role at ringside with Darby Allin. Who's to say Sting and CM Punk don't have a little spot in there?
Right. Yeah. Do you think, because they've showed him in the crowd before, do you think they ever touch on CM Punk's past relationship with Raven? Ever?
I don't know.
Even in like a little passing mention?
I haven't even heard buzz about Raven in years.
They showed him briefly in the audience during a Dynamite one night.
Oh, okay. And how recent was that, you think?
Had to be this past year and a half. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Up next, Sting and Darby Allin versus the little CM Punk. It's not a handicap match, but I said Sting first. This one is really tough. And I'm gonna have to say CM Punk for the sole purpose is that I want to see CM Punk in Don Callis promos. In your main event of the evening.
Anyway, that's all out. We hope you guys enjoyed our predictions video. We hope you predicted along with us. If you did, comment down below who you think is going to win between, I don't know, let's say Chris Jericho and MJF. Who do you think is going to win? Let us know. From us here, specifically Devoid, I've been me. You've been you. Have a wonderful day. Stay classy. PWOL.